Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 503. I am your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Selner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
Hey.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Season 11 continues as we start the month of May with Disaster Report 4, Summer Memories. Talk about the game, we will rate the game, and then of course we will rank it on the list. If you want to see all of the games that we've ranked on the list so far, you can do that at thefreecheese.com/thelist. More on Disaster Report 4, Summer Memories in just a bit. First, I'd like to know, Matt, when was the last time you connected with a total stranger?
Oh, I don't leave the house anymore.
Q stained, it's been a while?
Yeah, probably. Yes. Pass. I don't remember.
Matt has shut off the outside world. Mark, when was the last time you felt a genuine connection with a stranger that you did not know?
Genuine connection. I mean, I guess if we're talking genuine, I would say the last time I was in New York.
Oh, okay. That's a good answer.
I went to one of my all-time favorite bands was having their final show in New York, and it was right around my birthday. So I decided to go up there and see them, and I went to New York with friends, but they left before me because they didn't have tickets to the show. I went to the show by myself, and then I made some friends at that show, and then one of them, we just hung out. We just fucking walked around and was people watching. Then we went to Times Square at 3-4 in the morning where it's dead empty, and we just chugged 2-gallon waters from CVS from the third floor, and then just chilled till it was time to go to our bus stops at 5 in the morning or whatever.
I love that.
I do forget his name sadly, but I know he had aspirations to be a hockey announcer.
Oh, wow.
He was from Canada.
Did you swap socials, phone numbers, anything?
Nope.
Yes.
Oh, right. He doesn't have a social security number. He's Canadian. Got it.
No, we just had a good time.
I like that. It's fleeting. It's done. You're never going to see him again, maybe.
Yeah, it was cute. We went to a little tiny diner that was 24/7, but it was just a hole in the wall diner. Ordered
As
same
is
exact
tradition,
thing.
in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like music events, live events like that are a good place for something like that. You're there with a common interest, so you already kind of cut through the...
I've been trying to think of any sports tailgate thing. I can't think of one where I'm
But that's
genuinely...
a good one too, right? There's a common bond that you brought you all there together.
Yeah, I do like when you get a high fiver in the row in front of you. He just wants to be
Yeah.
get involved.
Yeah.
I will never be the initiator, but I'll always be right there.
It's important to make human connections. You never know when they might pay off or when someone might need it, right? We learned that deeply this week as we experienced Disaster Report for Summer Memories, developed by Granzella, published by Granzella in Japan, but by NIS America here in North America, and actually throughout the rest of the world. Released on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. First released 2018 in Japan, but it hit worldwide for everybody on all platforms April 7th, 2020, so just over 3 years ago. The back of the box, if there were one, would read a little something like this. Thrust into a tragedy that touches countless lives, you must now make the decisions that will determine who lives and who dies in the chaos stemming from a natural disaster. What will you do in the aftermath of calamity? When a massive earthquake strikes the city you're visiting, you find yourself at the epicenter of a chaotic and catastrophic crisis. It's up to you to rise above the calamity, gather your thoughts and your fellow survivors, and outlast the disaster. Aftershocks, fires, collapsing buildings, and debris, and unstable ground are but a few of the threats you'll face in these nightmarish circumstances. What will you do when every passing second and every snap decision could spell the difference between life and death? And then, of course, my favorite part of the back of the box is the, things that strike out at you, right? Your world in chaos. In a city on the brink of collapsing, you'll need to make split-second decisions that will impact your safety as well as that of others. Everybody's got a story. Meet your fellow survivors in a Japanese-inspired city devastated by a powerful earthquake and see how the human spirit bends and sometimes breaks. Danger at every corner. Navigate a multitude of crises, from collapsing buildings to raging fires in a city aplumb with peril. Disaster Report 4. Summer Memories. Why was this game chosen, you might be wondering? Couple reasons. I think the series is unique as a whole. Disaster Report goes back a long time, back to the PlayStation 2 era. This particular entry, number 4, was canceled. It was due out for the PlayStation 3 with PlayStation Move support in 2011. And a few days after the massive tsunami and everything that hit Japan in March 2011, the then developer and publisher Irem decided not only to delay the game, but to cancel it. Irem folds, a bunch of employees form a new company, Granzella, and acquire the rights to a bunch of Irem's old properties. So now these days, if you're out there checking out Granzella, you can see them making Disaster Report and R-Type, which R-Type Final 3, or R-Type Evolved Final 3, whatever it is, just came out recently. And Disaster Report 5 in development. But it got canceled, was later re-announced in, I believe, 2014 that they had the rights and they were going to whatever, but they started from scratch. Did not pick up from what they had already built on PS3. Started from scratch, and then over the course of the next 5 to 6 years, the game would go through development and eventually release as Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories for PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I always wanted to play these games. I shouldn't say that. Since learning of these games, I've wanted to play these games. And the one that we had here prior to this was Raw Danger for the PS2. It felt weird to go back to a PS2 game, and when I was building my list of stuff for this year, remember, tried to have reasons for everything up and down and left and right. And I had this push kind of late in my list building where I said, I kind of want to have some more modern video games in here, like release date wise. And this seemed like a nice blend of the two. It's something that was more current in terms of release, but has some, I think, more old school design sensibilities that it fit in a weird way. I'd previously tried the demo on Switch, and I knew that when I played the demo on Switch, it didn't run well on Switch when it first came out or when I tried it. So I didn't initially buy it, but it was one of those things that I felt like was a good idea for the list because it would finally force me to play it. And I thought that, I don't know, I didn't think that me or either of you would ever play this game if it weren't on this list. Maybe I would have at some point, but it would have needed to hit a deep sale for me to feel like the itch to pull the trigger and just finally try it after that Switch demo kind of soured me. And I wasn't sure that you guys, if this was even on your radar or not. So I was like, we should play this game. And there's why I put it on the list. So the game takes place, you start the game, you choose a character, you kind of get to decide what you look like. and a little bit of your backstory. They kind of ask you like why you're visiting the city. It all takes place as you're starting out on a city bus. An earthquake breaks out, massive earthquake. And then in the wake of that, you are kind of thrown into the city to interact with its inhabitants. And, you know, as described, you have to try and help people make decisions that, you know, affect the outcome of how the story unfolds, kind of. And really just navigate through the city and adventure. So when it started, how did you approach choosing your character? Did you pick boy, girl? Did you come up with your own special name? Did you let the name default? What was your approach to it? Mark?
So I kind of took some inspiration from the Digimon series and decided to have my character try to like loosely kind of loosely play like one of the characters. I believe the Japanese name was Takashi Takeru, but in English it's just known as TK.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave the dude like blonde hair, and I kind of try to give a role of like, I don't know how I'm gonna react to this until it happens type thing, and then just try to organically go from there. And then I ended up just wanting to help everyone. I know it's kind of like milquetoast, but like, I don't want to jump too far ahead of whatever this game has to offer, but based on a lot of the decisions that you could make, I chose to just go with a more just like general, like, I just want to try to help as many people as I can with no ulterior motives.
Yeah, I had a similar approach. I winced as you said that because later on I realized there were some trophies tied to certain things, so I did start to do some things that were maybe immoral because I wanted to get trophies along the way.
Sometimes it just makes you.
Yeah, sometimes you didn't really have a choice. But yeah, I did try to, in every situation, like put others before myself or choose the option that would like allow for that as best I could. Matt, what about you? Did you make yourself?
Pass. No. I kind of just defaulted when it came to the questions. I don't know. I was just trying to, like, I was trying to do like the think. I didn't say think for yourself, but like put like those who I'm close to first. I kind of said stuff like that. And as far as the name, I don't even remember my character's name because I just hit default. It was that was a very weird. Like, they really wanted you to be a visitor in this city, and I was like, no, I kind of want to play like the average dude who's on his work commute, and this shit goes down. And I kind of want to be from the city. There's like no option for that. So I mean, not a game breaker. I just thought it was a little odd that I thought that was what I was going to be, just like a dude in the city that they live in. Shit happens, and now they're trying to figure out like how to survive, where to go, not necessarily like escape the city to go home.
I think it'd be an interesting premise for one of these too, though. If like, not to like completely derail our conversation, but like, yeah, that'd be neat if you had 6 days or whatever, like you do in this game, but depending on your choice at the beginning, you start at a random spot in the city, and the events play out accordingly. Like, so. You know, depending on what your occupation or your whatever, like your story could be completely different from mine.
No, I mean, it was just odd that wasn't like a option. But you know, I kind of went with it. I just said I was in town for a business meeting. I think that was like the best I could to kind of get where I was going. So I was a man in a suit, and yeah, default name. Like I said, I don't even remember what they gave me. And then, you know, just kind of. Earthquake happens while you're on a bus.
Yeah, and then it all goes from there. The first thing you kind of do once you're off the bus is you end up in a little area near it's like a shopping district, and it's a little park nearby. But you're really gated in. I think most areas in the game, you're really gated into just like one city block for the most part. It kind of opens up a little bit down the line, but the thing that's, I think, really tough about this game from the start is that it's difficult to know how to trigger the next event sometimes. I felt that. Did you feel that way? Mark, you're kind of nodding. You're both, yeah, okay.
Yeah, like, you kind of learn quickly that you don't have to talk to every single person.
Yeah.
A lot of them, like, they don't, like, they're not even named. It's like, scared dude, or concerned woman standing in corner, or like, it's like very stuff like that. Basically, you just have to run around until you trigger a cutscene or an earthquake that tells you can't go that way.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. A lot of I loved the names of the characters though. Like, there's some named characters, but all of the like things like so good. Just like depressed businessman, distressed businessman.
They sound like roles you would audition for.
Yeah, they're because they do. They're like extras in the game that you're playing, so to speak. Yeah. So this one's a weird one. So like, I don't want to spoil this game. I think if you have seen this game, or if you're just hearing about it now, I think it's worth seeing through to the end. It's about 10 hours, 10 to 15, to get through. I don't want to spend this podcast just saying, like, on day one, this happens. On day two, like, because I think finding these things out and discovering these things on your own are worth doing. However, there might be spots where we call out like, and then this happened. So I'll make sure that as we go through this, we kind of alert listeners for spoilers if you've not played the game. But I don't also, if people have played it and they're just looking for other, people talking about it so they can be excited about it, I don't want to shy away from being like, when that happened, I screamed. To that end, one of the first groups you meet at the beginning is a teacher and 3 of her students. And you that's the first thing that kind of starts to move the story up. Well, I guess it's not true. One of the first, is it before you meet them or after that the guy in the dark suit comes running up to you?
I think it's
it all
before.
Depends. I think it depends just where you're at.
Oh, position-wise, yeah. So,
because I talked to the teacher first and then had that.
Did you guys... I just have a note here that says, whoops, I told the scary guy where that other guy went and then ran into him at the convenience store. Because once you get to the next section of the town, you meet, the guy in the guy who got punched.
I do remember that name. Tomoya.
Yeah.
So when I ran into that guy, this was me testing the game in case the game was testing me.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, he probably looks scary. He's making him come off as scary, but I have a feeling that there's probably more to him than just the looks. So I basically snitched even though me playing, I did not see a guy run. I completely missed it.
I barely saw him.
So like I just had to pretend like I knew I saw somebody, but I just thought it was not related.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all of them were like, yeah, lie. And I was like, no, I'm just going to say just went that way, and let's just see what happens. So that was my logic. Oh
yeah, you run into that. That sets up a story arc, like the major through line of the rest of the game, it would turn out. You meet a teacher and 3 students, and you sort of help them get through the first area, the first section of this game. There are some things that I didn't realize it at the time, but like there's certain characters that you can talk to that you need to do very specific things with. Specifically in that spot, it's inside that shopping area where like the mannequins are all knocked over and everything. There's 2 characters in there you can talk to that trigger events that happen on like days 3 and 4 and 5.
Oh well.
They're like just tiny little moments or whatever, but yeah.
I got a sense of. I'm not gonna say I knew like stuff was like that was, like, but I kind of got a sense of like as you were just talking to people, like there is the depressed businessman, and there's like no resolution to that conversation. So I kind of had a feeling I was gonna feed in later, whether it was significant or not. I do, before we move out the first area though, or we get too far past it. I thought this was, for me, it was actually pretty effective. I was really trying to like get behind the idea of like, I am stuck in this situation. Knock on wood, in real life, I have never been in a situation like that. I hope I never have to be, but I was trying to play it from that perspective. Like, holy shit, this is happening. And then what's even more effective is I die. Fucking building collapses on me, so I'm like, oh shit, this is really like, oh shit, I gotta be careful what's going on. Fucking fall over, or a quarter of my life is gone because the fucking aftershock. So, and I'm like walking around, and with that in line, like these people start asking me questions. I'm like, I don't fucking know where that man went. There was an earthquake, and I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. There's a lot of that going on. And that's going to be a thing that periodically happens in my playthrough is, guys, a fucking devastating earthquake just happened. I don't have time to worry about this silly thing. Now, granted, if it was like, oh my god, I lost my child, where did you see them? Yes, I would help. But like, strange looking man looking for another man who seemed like they were not related at all. I don't have time for you, dude. I'm trying to get away before a building collapses on me.
Yeah. That, I guess, did they tell you at the beginning to press square to brace yourself, or did I figure that out?
I figured that out.
Because I remembered that, like, the first time that happened, and I did it, like, I was surprised that it worked, or, I don't know, I think I, like, fell the first time, and then eventually you kind of figure it out.
I think I pulled up the key config at that point.
I think, yeah, that probably. Yeah. And then, of course, later when you're driving vehicles, they'll have the key config mapped to the screen indefinitely unless you toggle it off. But yeah, it's weird there wasn't one like right away. I think that kind of leans into, I guess, one element we can talk about, which is the game. I said it at the beginning, like it kind of has an older school sensibility of game design, where like they've really only added in what they need to. There's not a lot of like flourish that's unnecessary. Like the game is a functional video game in that regard. Like it has the pieces it has, and I don't know, it's something that I felt like I feel like Matt and I in passing I articulated this a lot better, but so correct me because I feel like I said it better before, but it was like I feel like this game did an effective job at like building what it wanted to be, but that's about it, right? Like it didn't, there's no like wasted space, but I mean that in the sense that like it just doesn't.
I think you were more, not that what you're saying is wrong as your own thought, but I think what you were going for was like you can kind of see the under the hood of the game as it's happening, which I kind of agree with. Yeah. This was one of those games that you play. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Short-term memory. Where it's a game you play where you feel like you understand how games are made just by playing it, because you can see exactly how the game is stitched together. And I don't necessarily think in a bad way, but I think like, especially now when you return back to older games, especially older 3D games that are like very rudimentary, because now there's like so many complex systems. There's also so many games that use the same 3 engines, so everything just kind of feels identical. Or there's same free assets if you're in the Unreal.
Yeah, that too, right? But there's that era of like early 3D games where like things just developers were figuring stuff out and everything just kind of was like, oh, that's how they did it here. You know what I mean? Like it's never quite the same across. And this feels like Disaster Report 4, but that's it. Even though I know it uses Unreal and whatever, but yeah, I guess we can jump around to some of the different areas. I wouldn't say like each day is kind of filled with you moving through a few areas, meeting some key characters that drive the story forward. And there is a definitive story. I think when I approached this game, or when I thought about what this game was, I thought it was random NPCs with random things. You'd go in and you just have to react to the moment. I thought this game was going to be filled with quick time events where you would be just like, oh, a building's falling. Oh, this baby's hanging out of a window. Got to catch it. Like, I thought it'd be a lot of stuff like that. Not necessarily this like through narrative. And I definitely didn't think it was going to go where it went. And I don't just mean like the ending and some of the stuff that happens then later on that we'll talk about later on, but I mean even like, what is it, day 2 that you end up like on a raft paddling around a flooded apartment complex? Like, I wouldn't have even thought that. Like, especially knowing like what you know of the beginning of the game, the cover of the game, like you're very much in a city, right? And then to be suddenly like afloat and navigating around, having to swim underwater to find pieces of a
what you make like
torn
a rope
sheets.
Yeah.
And then even in that moment too, like you not only like are you in that area going through that apartment complex, but like that whole story with the mother and her 2 sons, and like what, like that was I think one of the first moments in the game where I was like, okay, this is something bigger than what I thought, or something deeper than what I thought. Maybe not bigger, but deeper than what I thought it was.
Yeah, as you're moving through, kind of, I mean, you can see the stitching. Like, it's like set piece to set piece. It's not set piece, but like, you know, it's like arc to arc. And that's essentially what ends up happening in this game. You said you meet a couple characters, there's an arc, and then you kind of move on, and you revisit a little bit of it towards the end. But I shoot, I lost my train of thought describing what you just described already. Shit. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I hate. Yeah.
No, sorry. This is what it was. Some of those arcs were way more effective than others. Yeah. I can't remember the exact day. I think it's 3. Like there's this silly, like almost Romeo and Juliet type feuding district thing, and the daughter and the son of the other, like,
yeah,
I don't have time for that. Like, that was silly. There's a couple. I mean, some of the stuff was, you know, like you said that the mother and the $2 in the complex, trying to get the section after that, half of that is legit. Like, oh, father is trapped under a building. You have to get something to lift up the whatever's trapped in his leg. You know, find a car jack or whatever. But then the other half of that is like stuffed teddy bear for daughter. It's like,
yeah, I don't.
I'm sorry. I am a total stranger. I'm not risking my life to get giant stuffed bear for daughter, you know?
Yeah.
Or how comically long you're carrying around this old lady for, from area to area being rejected. Like, at some point, it's like, this is your mother. I got her here. Like, you know.
Oh, they didn't care. They wanted her
exactly.
out because they needed a place to sleep.
That's the part that's like, oh, God. And why couldn't I take the... and I'm going on a sidetrack now, but why couldn't I continue to take the goddamn cart? That was convenient.
I know. Yeah, you get to the part where it's just like, I guess I'll just leave it here because he'll want it back.
All right, gotta move on to the next. Like, perfect, that's still here. Oh, no, gonna leave it here for the guy. What the fuck? Anyway. Yeah, there's just some stuff.
The other part about carrying that woman around that was terrible is that by that point, your muscle memory of this game has set in, so you are used to slamming R1 to run, and you just can't run while you're carrying this lady around, and oh my gosh.
and it's
Stinks.
slow, and like it's like no choice. It's slow, and it's one of those slow things where like you see the exit up ahead, but of course it's like a 2-minute walk unnecessarily.
Yeah.
There's some silly things like that, but there's definitely some parts of it that were more effective than others. Like I talked about the first part a little bit. It kind of got me in like that sense. Like I said, I thought that first part was real effective. Even that second part, not necessarily the businessman, which I want to talk about because that store owner, in air quotes, is one of the best things about this game. But the second part of that, when you go into the building and rescue a character who ends up coming back, Yokoi, was that her name?
Oh, Yayoi.
Oh, Yayoi.
Yeah, Miss Yayoi.
Yeah, so like doing that, I thought was an interesting thing. Like going into, because you kind of had to go into the building to progress. So
Yeah.
and it was like while you're going through, you kind of saw her. She was trapped. Kind of helping her out. Like it was like stuff like that. I thought was really effective in the helping people kind of arcs that you came across. But for sure, not all of them were effective, and some of them were tedious and annoying than doing anything.
But I think to your point, the ones that were really good felt really good because they were like natural things you just kind of stumbled upon and then it made sense. Like other ones, to Mark's point earlier, like you were running around waiting on something to just click or pop or a cutscene to happen. Others, it was like you need to head in this direction, so you're heading in that direction, and then all of a sudden things are popping, and like that always felt much more satisfying than just like John Travolta, like with your arms up, just like where am I going? What am I doing?
It's kind of funny, but a little unrelated. I'm being recently on this kick of watching old VODs of like of a certain Twitch streamer play like old FMV like Sierra like type games.
Yeah.
And this game has so much in common with those of like, all right, I know I gotta do something. I gotta go to a certain area at a certain time to trigger the next thing to go on for the next FMV cutscene. It's kind of had a lot of that going on, coincidentally enough. That's where I think you get that old school kind of video game approach a little bit.
Yeah, this feels like something that was like completely planned out on paper, and then they like brought it into a game development world. Let's talk about the convenience store, because that was one of the first moments where I felt like, oh, there are more elements within this game than I'm aware of, and I need to be careful with who I trust. I don't know if your mic fully picked up the clap.
Oh.
Yeah.
Business is business, buddy.
Yeah. So, I would later go on to love running into Kumazawa, but at first, I was like reading my notes on the air of what I wrote down at the moment. So in the moment, I write down, that guy wasn't even the store owner. There's an exclamation point at the end, too. I made sure to punctuate my own note. And then right after that, I lament the fact that I helped him out. And I wrote, why did I charge people for items? Because as people, like, this part of the game, for those who haven't played, you stumble your way into a convenience store. You find an outfit, like basically like you need to get something, but someone's like, someone else who works there,
You're given the outfit by the guy stuck in. He's like stressed out in the storeroom.
Yeah, but it was like you need to get, what was it? You need to get into the bathroom. But you can't get into the bathroom because that guy needs toilet paper. You go to get the toilet paper, and the guy won't tell you where the toilet paper is until the customers clear out. He's too afraid to deal with the customers, so he gives you an outfit to then go. Like it's all of that. That's the game hook. And like really, if we haven't described what this game is yet, that I think is the perfect description. It's like I've got to do this thing. Well, before I can do that, I need to do this. But this person wants me to do this, and in order to do that, I need to talk to this person, and then I have to get this thing and do it, combine it with this. Like it's always those types.
And the whole time you kind of. It's not even clever about it. Like the whole time you're piecing together. It's like, all right, now I need to get the toilet paper to get into here. to do the next thing. Like, that's where what you've been saying this entire time comes in.
But it's so in this instance, you dress up like a convenience store worker. You have to deal with the customers, and like you have options. Like you can pocket their money, you can just charge them and put it in the register. You can
upcharge them.
Increase the price to overcharge, or you can just say like, why would I charge you? Get out of here. It's an emergency. Obviously, you should just whatever. But I'm thinking like of the store owner, and like these people did line up to pay for their items, so of course I should do that. And then like after the fact, when everything kind of comes out and you realize that the store owner is not the store owner at all, it's a guy who's impersonating it and trying to rip people off.
I kind of got the impression that he is an employee, because the actual shop owner for that, at least that shop, the actual shop owner comes in and is like, "What are you doing here?" Or, what are you doing? The way they interacted, it gave me that illusion. I could be wrong, but I kind of got that feeling.
I thought it could have also been he stormed in after the fact and hit the timid guy or bullied the timid guy in the office, and then said, I'm going to go take a dump while, I don't know, or something like that. And like, that's just what.
I could see that as well. But regardless, yeah, the guy's a sleazeball. But man, does he have a tagline? Business is business.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm surprised they even stood in line. Like, if there's a disaster happening, damn well anywhere else,
it's looted.
Nobody would be waiting to pay. Yeah,
it's looted.
Gone.
That's why I was like, I'll happily help the shop owner. Same thing as what Joe said.
Yeah, I was trying to be moral.
Business is business,
But I like that he keeps popping up. Like,
yes.
As you move through the city, you just keep seeing this orange and white striped shirt. Like, he's just going to all these convenience store chains throughout the city, popping in, taking advantage, and just dirtbag. Yeah, there's one thing I noted at this point too is the lighting in the game. I thought was really well done. I know it doesn't seem like it. I think if you look at this game, you might think like it's not polished or it looks a little whatever. The character models are stiff, or there's a lot of things I think you can say in that regard, and I think it'd be valid. But I do think there's like a lot of interesting art decisions that happen. I shared some screenshots with Mark and Matt that I'm like glancing at now, just like revisiting it and thinking about this stuff. I kept taking a ton of screenshots because the game is really pretty, and the lighting I thought worked well. There's a scene or an area you go back to a few times. It's this business headquarters in a building, and it's really dimly lit or not lit at all, other than the glowing exit signs. And just like the green shining on you from the exit sign, the way it would like illuminate your body or the bounce off your clothes. I don't know. It was impressive in a way that I didn't expect it to be. So I think maybe that's why it stood out. Yeah, I don't know. And it did feel like, I think at first I was worried that like I wouldn't know where I was going or doing, because the game kind of feels very much like I'm in a city block, but you do kind of, these locations you visit end up having a sense of identity of their own, where I can like vividly picture each area I went to, there's a couple stretches of the city block where it was like, you have to run across highway or something, where that felt a little whatever, but like generally speaking, the way all the pieces fit together, I can still remember and mostly map out the city from memory, I think, which I think was effective. Oops. In addition, I love that you carry a key ring that you add the keys you've discovered to it. Like, because one by one, like someone might give you a key to a thing, or you might find a key to a door. But slowly, like if you check your inventory, you have a bag of bags, you have a bag of compasses, and you have a key ring, and the key ring like slowly adds things to it.
I love how you get that first bag where it's in that like fashion store in the first area. It's like just sitting out in the front, like full of medical supplies too when you grab it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm the first one to wander in here and grab all the medical supplies. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I like the collectibles. I did appreciate how ridiculous some of the bags got. Like I had like a all wood bag at some point.
I had that one for a while too. The only reason I swapped that one out is because I ran out of storage and I was finding good outfits I didn't want to get rid of. And I did find at one point a guitar bag. Did you find that one? Did either of you guys
I
find
missed the
it?
guitar bag. No.
This was so after you go to Yeah. It's after you go to the area with the gymnasium. Like this is later in the game.
Oh.
When you have to go to that little city that's kind of like burnt. The city that like burned down and there's no flowers left and that woman's trying to have a flower party or whatever or like celebrate with flowers. And you say like, oh, I'll go find flowers in the stream. If you kind of walk the opposite direction of the flowers and check one of the like runoffs, like the sewer that you go to, it's in an L shape. And when you kind of like come down the stairs, you can go right to the flower bed. Or if you turn around and go the opposite direction, guitar bag is tucked in the corner. And it just looks like you're holding a guitar on your back, but it has like 42 storage spaces.
Yeah, I definitely missed that one.
Did you run around in a baseball costume the whole time, Matt? Because that...
No, I kind of stuck with the suit. I wanted to be a man of business.
Wow.
I did, once I found the game developer's hat, though, I made sure to keep that on for a bit. It was a white cap.
What was the game developer's hat?
No, it was just the
with the
logo of the dev.
I want that in real life. Like, if that exists, I need it.
Yeah, the Grandzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a white cap. Yeah, no, as soon as I could take off that dumb-looking, like, convenience store outfit, I was like, yeah, we're done with this. No, man of business until late in the game where I thought I could do a side quest with the firefighter costume.
Yes. Mark, I had you pegged as a chef, maybe, or I forget what other things. Like there were a couple.
So I'm kind of similar to Matt. I was also a man of business, and I had a black baseball cap, and I kept the silver emergency bag on. But come day 2, I made them a little more casual, where it was just like it's called the schoolboy's outfit or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Or it's just the white tee, like short sleeve with pants.
Yeah, and I did like that you could, if you wanted to, change your hair throughout the game. You could change your face a little bit. I had a makeup bag. I played as a female character, but I never found makeup. And I can't remember now, like maybe you could doll yourself up a little bit or change looks, but like I had a makeup bag that only had the like lip color that I was already wearing.
I had that too.
I don't know. Maybe I do. This game had extensive DLC that I really want to go back and like download and try.
Yeah.
There's some paid, some free.
I think it's all free, but there's a stipulation to it. It eats up your inventory, and there's like no way to get rid of any of it.
Oh, I did not think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
there are
maybe like 3 slots left after doing it. I was like, why did I do this?
Oh, that stinks. Yeah, never mind. That's a good call. Yeah, the game gives you a few opportunities to sell items to someone. There's like one guy outside of the Italian restaurant. There's one guy behind like all the way around past the miracle water dripping. There's a guy over there you can sell to. Those are the only 2 I found, actually. So there might be more.
I think there's one more in the burning town.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't even think I found that one.
I think.
But
I found 2, but I didn't find that first one you said. So.
By the Italian restaurant?
No, I think. Or I did, and I didn't have to sell anything at that point, or didn't feel the need to. Now I can't remember. I don't think I did though. But I remember finding 2. I can't remember the second one now.
There has to be more because I was like in need of it multiple times, and I was like, all right, I probably missed the guy or whatever. But yeah, those became a real need because there are certain clothing items, like you can't sell your business suit. There's certain things you acquire as you play that you can't sell. And yeah, I did not realize that the DLC would be that too. Because there's some good outfits in the DLC. There's like a Santa costume you can get. There's another baseball outfit you can get. And then I did not play the epilogue, but there's 2-part epilogue to the game. Part 1 is free. Part 2 is a couple bucks. But I didn't try either of them. I just kind of, for this podcast, I wanted to do the core.
So I think I booted it, but it looked like it was just restart the game again. So I quit out. I was confused.
Oh, okay. Weird.
I could be wrong, but it was like getting the same questions in that black screen again. I was like, I'm good. I've had my fair share of this game.
Yeah. Did either of you check your occupation?
I want it. It's in like the status screen, isn't it? Like it not in the main, but you have to go to like status. I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was though.
Mark, do you remember yours?
No.
So at some point, my character's health was low. My hunger meter was at the depleted, or I was I had the flashing fork and knife on the screen, like I needed to eat. Things were bad. And in the game, you can buy food, find food. You're given food, and that refills your hunger. You also get drinks that refill your thirst meter, but also remember, the more you eat, the more thirsty you become. The more you drink, the more need of bathroom you will have. So all these things you have to manage while also navigating through this tragedy and helping people along the way. At some point, desperate for food, I bought a bento box for a lot of money, and my occupation became a woman who bought a Makunochi bento for 4,800 yen. And I love the idea that because I think at the beginning I was just unemployed looking for a job or something like that, because you start the game out you're headed to a job interview, and then my occupation changes to woman who bought a bento. This is very good, and for exactly how much I paid for it too, which was way too much. I thought that was cute. I also noticed just before that, around that time, there's a scene where there's a cat you walk by on a bridge, and you have the opportunity to feed it if you bought cat food from the convenience store owner. Did you guys do that?
Yes.
Did you? Okay, so right after that, an earthquake happens, and the whole bridge you just walked across collapsed. Did you turn around and look?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I made sure that the cat was still there.
Yeah, the bridge collapsed on the side just past the cat, but the cat was okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't waste goddamn precious yen.
Of course, yeah. But not long after that, you get you have the 300,000 yen you get from a guy where you lie and tell him you're the president's daughter. Or wait, did that not happen?
No,
I got it.
You're forced to lie at that point. That's actually you can't advance the game unless you do that.
But how did that work for you guys? Because I told him I was the president's daughter. Were you the president's son?
Son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, got it. Because there were a couple of things in this game where I felt like maybe they added in a female playable character as an afterthought. There was one scene in particular where I had to use a porta potty because it was bathroom at extreme need or moderate, whatever the thing was. And the character animation walked up and stood like it was going to a urinal, unzipped, and then it fades to black like it does, but it did not do the traditional sit down, fade to black, play music.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like every time I used the bathroom, I sat down.
Yeah.
It was just the urinal or the porta potty when you were in that I don't remember what it was, but the little place at the playground, the where the miracle water, that whole.
You got into a porta potty because I did not.
Did you try and go after the main? I did it the first time. You kind of have freedom to run around there.
Once I finally got to the gym, you could loop all the way around to the pool, and I went in the pool. Well, not in the pool, but there's a pool bathroom.
Oh, okay. No, I did. Okay. I did-
I went.
maybe-
I finally
maybe
went
I-
there.
I thought I did porta potty there, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way.
You may have. I don't know. I didn't. I never really tried again after getting in there and talking with the mayor. Because as soon as I got in there, I was like, I need a bathroom right now, and I don't understand why I can't just pee on a wall somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
Did you guys have to squat in plants?
No.
What was that for?
Oh, for a bathroom.
No.
So in the I'll call it the Romeo and Juliet district,
Yeah.
there is in like in that little area that you climb up to go in that dude's backyard.
Yeah.
There's like high grass in the corner. You can use the bathroom there. The only reason I found it is because the map told me it was a bathroom there.
So, did you talk to the guy right before that little patch?
I don't remember if I
There's
did
a
or
guy
not.
standing in front of that patch of grass, and he's holding his groin. And if you talk to him, he's like, "I gotta go so bad. I might just go crouch in the grass there."
Mm.
So that's funny that it's actually a bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because I had to go, dude. I didn't have to go to the bathroom until there was no fucking toilet in the area.
That's how. Yeah. I tried to get into the habit too of like making sure I would go. If I found a toilet and I had anything more than no need, I would just go just to clear it out. But then like the game goes, time passes, and you gotta go.
I think one of my favorite things is towards the end of this game. I don't know if this changes depending on, because I don't want to get into it too much, but you're kind of ultimately given like two different endings here. You can kind of go two different ways. I won't get into it too much, but I went the airport way.
Yeah.
And at some point you're going to a truck to go to the airport. The dude says before I get in, "This is your last chance to use the bathroom." I was like, "Gotta go, see ya." I appreciated that so much. It's like, hold the
it was
truck,
like that.
gotta go piss.
It's that moment before the final boss where it's like,
Yeah,
this
there's
is
no
your last
returning.
time to upgrade or do any side missions.
Yeah, gotta go piss. BRB.
How about the cult? The white t-shirt cult.
I'm so bad at myself because I thought hard about taking the money. And I didn't.
I took the money. That was when I was like, all right, I gotta make something happen with these trophies. I gotta get some money. I gotta get some serious loot. So
I had a feeling they were like bad and culty. I don't know. Were they? Did they end up being culty? I don't know. I guess
I
they
don't
were
know if
like
it was a full cult, but they were definitely taking
like
advantage
religious
of people.
undertones with it too. Because that pamphlet. Did you read that pamphlet?
Yeah, there was that, and I think like just generally, it seemed like they were trying to take advantage of people during this situation.
Yeah.
Wasn't there the thing? Was it confirmed in game, or was it someone speculating, like an NPC I talked to? No, it was like one of their things where they said that guy predicted the earthquake,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, the
kinda-
pamphlet said it.
Right. That's okay. I couldn't remember if it was a person or what, but yeah, there's that.
They
and then-
said it, but then you also get like the literature, and if you read the literature, he did kind of say like we're overdue. But he said it that way. It wasn't like it's going to happen. It was.
But there was someone else
sleazy.
who pointed out that like a company was behind the whole thing, or like I forget, I don't remember. That, like this whole earthquake was a conspiracy, and yeah,
I missed that. I didn't get, or at least I did not get any of those vibes.
I don't remember.
I thought it was pretty shocking that after I recruited 3 people, I was handed the keys of the Kindle with them.
I kept going.
I said no
I
at first
recruited-
too.
Yeah, I said no, and then I kept going, and I kept recruiting because I just wanted to get more moral point. I was trying to rack up my morality at that point.
Really good for
Again,
that trophy, weren't you?
I was really going. I got the trophy. I got the trophy for money. I got the trophy for morality. Because I realized the morality trophy was you did not need to exceed 1,000 moral points. You needed collectively to have accumulated 1,000 moral or 1,000. Like it took your negatives and your positives as net positive. So,
Yeah, I towards the end when I was kind of getting a little tired of mindlessly aiming for the correct spot to be in at the correct time, I started using a guide, and the guide I said was it was like telling you the trophy paths as well. And
Nice.
I was playing on Steam, so I didn't care that much. It's amazing how I care on PlayStation, but not on Steam.
Yeah.
I got the sense very early, like reading through some stuff when I was like trying to get to where I was, like, oh, I could have easily just been an asshole and good and get all these, achievements or whatever.
Yeah, I was like mostly good throughout it, and then I don't think, from what I read, that like being good or bad really changes the story.
I got the sense that there's like, before the end, which path you choose, there's like one other decision to get a character to come with you, potentially. And like, that's it. Yeah, I honestly, I kind of had the feeling it was one of those like, when, like day 2, day 3, I kind of had the feeling it was like, oh, A to B is definitive. It's just a matter of how I fill in the lines, kind of Telltale style. But
yeah,
there was a couple different endings, but I thought some of the decisions were, it definitely, it kind of gave you some decisions to work with and decisions to make. And man, I did steal. I wanted to finish the story, but I've tried to steal the money after they were mad at me and kicked me out. I tried running in. I did not. I did not get in, and the Embers beat me to death. No. I was so mad when I didn't take the money.
You really need to get out of there. Like, that, it's not a good time.
Yeah.
You got to go. That I like, man. There's so many like little moments in this game that just stand. Like when you get to that one spot in the city, and there's a guy with 2 mopeds, and I was like, "Did we get a moped?" And then you talk to him, and he's like, "You could have it if the tire weren't flat." And then you go talk to another guy, and it's like, "Here's a tire repair kit." It's like, sick, I got a moped. But you only get to drive it for like 4 seconds. It's not like, I thought like, great, we get it for the rest of the game. Now I'm set. No.
Yeah, off to the airport.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just one of the last things I want to mention is just there's just, with the way that the section to section is, and the way some of them are like more, I don't want to say serious, because I think they all try to be serious. I think some of them just hit home better than others.
Yeah.
There's such just a tonal shift
throughout. That stood out to me so much.
Like I couldn't, like, when I wanted to get serious, I had a hard time getting serious.
Yeah, but also the serious moments were so serious and so swift. Like, I'm not even talking about, like, later on there's like sexual assault stuff. There's like blatant attacks. There's like terrible things. But even earlier, like, one of the first big things that shocked me truly was the harbor sinking before you could get on the boat.
Yeah.
I know it's like not comparative to the 2 or anything like that, but still, like, it is a serious moment amidst all this kind of absurdity, like, just dances around the world. And like that moment where like the harbor collapses, you're like, oh, this is a real, like, there's, because you think about that, right? Like,
I think it's kind of the first time it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't see it, don't think about it. Like, there's probably people in collapsing buildings, right? But you don't see it. And so you kind of don't think about it. It's like, I think that's kind of the first time you see the actual, like, potential death of these NPC characters.
Because the rest of it, it's like, that those buildings collapsed and there were people inside. And as you're walking through the city, you realize that, and that's what's happened.
Yeah.
You watch it, like, and also, like, I'm about to get on that boat. And now all of a sudden, this
gone.
Yeah, it was shocking.
That was my biggest gripe with this game. It felt tone deaf. Where, like, even before that, there's a bridge that just collapses on, like, hundreds of people in front of you. And the only thing anyone ever had to say on it was a clerk 5 feet away from it was like, I heard a noise. What was that? It's like, I don't know, fucking look around you, dude. Like,
yeah.
It was weird. I guess just because I didn't know what this series was about, or like, what they're known for. I didn't know how to like take any of it or like how to like approach it, I guess, in a more proper way. But like to have a title called like Disaster, crap, I forgot the name already. Like
Report.
Sorry, I almost said story. Yeah, to call it Disaster Report, but then they had the subtitle "Summer Memories" under it.
I wanted to
some type of like endearing thing.
I did want to end on that title. I'm glad you brought that up.
It's like you might as well just call it like Hurricane Katrina Fall Fun Times or something. Like it just
or
felt
fucking Hurricane Katrina : Hurricane Tortilla. Fucking just lean into the vibe.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to know like, okay, did this game need the disasters for these things to still happen? And probably not, because it seemed like it didn't really focus on it. It was just like the earthquakes were just like a background thing for the most part. It felt like
towards
so, like,
the end, I definitely felt like that. Yeah,
like it just left me a little confused on how I should feel emotionally towards all this. And then like once that family thing happened, it was like, did this need to happen? Did this need to be a thing? I don't know. I'll admit I did take it like way more to heart than I probably should have, but like I just didn't know how to approach any of it.
It was just it was a lot of whiplash because you started to like
that's
fall
a good
into
word
this
for
like
it.
sense of comfortability. Like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm here's my mission right now. Here's my task. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's goofy in a way. Like there's certain elements, and then it is just like, nope, this is real, dude. This is a real tragedy. But I do think that like, I don't know, like in any like hardship that I feel like I've endured or anything that has, I mean, I've never endured something like this. I'm not trying to ever, you know, say that at all. But any of those things where like you do experience something, I do feel like one of the first things I end up doing is making a joke or finding something to laugh at just to like, to collectively break the tension and get through something. Like you just sort of like, you need that human element. So I do appreciate it in that side. Like classic Nathan Explosion quote, like what's the opposite of tragedy? Comedy. Like it is, those two things do go hand in hand. They do complement one another in a way. But yeah, it's a sharp contrast when it happens. I don't want to pull away from it because it does, like, you know,
it's because
highs and lows.
It's just some of the things that you're doing for some people and you're having to do. I think that's the problem, having to do to progress the game. It's just so silly in the scheme of things.
Yeah. Here's a fun thing. We're over an hour. And like, I didn't realize we would kind of get through this much talking without like really, I thought we'd go way more into the plot. I'm kind of glad that we didn't, but, I do have a couple questions. Speaking of the title, did either of you experience a title change?
No, I think I saw an opportunity for it. I did not execute it because I didn't know how endings were going to work out. I didn't want to like lock myself into something.
I changed the title of the game for me. It's one of my favorite moments of this game for many reasons. And I'm like hesitant to even, I guess if you have not played and you're going to play, maybe tune out for 60 seconds or so. But this is in the gymnasium area when you're in that little town and you find the bottle of water you find the bottle you could fill with quote miracle water that's really just run off from a
building,
sewer, not
like
sewer, a roof. What do you call it? A drain pipe.
Yeah.
And people that are feeling ill or sick are drinking this magic water you're finding. They're calling it miracle water, and they're so grateful that you've saved the day. The mayor of the town comes over, and he's like, I will give you anything you want. You've helped us so much. And like prior to that, someone offers you like a boat. Someone offers you rental property. And then he gives you the opportunity to change the title of the game. It says it like right in the name, like you see the options where it's like, I want $300,000 or I want a boat. Like he also can give you a boat if you didn't take the boat the first time. And then he has the option to change the name of the game. And I did, and you get to choose between a couple, and forgive me because I don't remember both of them. I only remember the one that I picked from the following reasons. I picked Miracle Water as my subtitle because I thought that was funny, knowing what I just gone through with this story. And then the two things that kill me is now the next time you have a cutscene or like a scene change that triggers, in the bottom right corner where the logo pops up, it's a new logo that says Disaster Report 4 Miracle Water, and the 4 and all is recolored with blue. Dead. Then I happened to check my occupation. My occupation changed after that to protagonist of Disaster Report 4 Miracle Water, and I just lost it. So good. And like, yeah, the thing there though is like all of that craziness happens and it's wild and whatever, but then it is whiplash because right after that you're thrown back, you meet the teacher and the students again. There's like, and you're right back into where all those storylines pan out, and all of them are.
So another weird thing, there's a bunch of ads for the game in the game. Did those change?
I did not go back. Like, I didn't experience any after that point, really. Because yeah, you're right. There's like a guy wearing a T-shirt, or there's things where like you talk to somebody and it's like
there's a
he's
bunch
very
of
excited
ads
about the game.
There was a bunch of ads like on the walls and stuff. I think there was a couple in the convenience store. I saw a bunch in the subway, like you usually would.
Yeah,
like,
the
just,
subway were big ones. I did not pay. I would bet that they did. But
that's
I don't
pretty
know
good
for
though.
sure.
I appreciate them changing the loan screen though. That's pretty good.
I died when the next time it popped. I just like I think I slapped my thigh and screamed. Yeah, I really, before we get to the list, is there anything else either of you wanted to kind of talk about? I have 2 closing questions, but I'm curious if there's any final thoughts, final feelings on Disaster Report 4. Or anything we didn't cover yet.
Kind of hit everything I kind of want to talk about. Just whiplash is the best word that my review does not have.
Feel free to steal it. Mark, is there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to hit on?
No, I think we covered a pretty good chunk of it. I think we're good.
And then I have 2 final questions. 1, what was your favorite compass?
Sushi.
Nice.
2, I hung out with the sushi a lot.
So I had the surfer. When I wrote down this question pretty early on in making notes for the game, and I immediately wrote down my answer, which was surfer, and then I got to the Italian restaurant, and nope, pasta. It was the pasta. It's 100% the plate of spaghetti with a fork in it, and the fork is the direction. And for the listeners unaware, you always have a compass in the bottom right corner of the screen so that as you navigate, you can know which direction you're headed. And as you go through, you find random compasses throughout the... Yeah. I liked the... there were like little manga characters on on like an open manga book. There were...
I think one of your screenshots had the like the quadruple stacked cheeseburger. I did have that for
good.
a bit too. Was there like a marlin at some point?
Oh, that makes sense.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm confusing it with. I think there was a surfer as well.
I had the surfer. I'm pulling up my screenshots now to look. But the pasta was definitely like one of the best. I've got a there was like a little ship because this is the people that made R-Type. Yeah, but
you know what? I think I remember picking that up, and I did not realize the context of it. I was like, "This seems out of place," and I just stored it.
I guess my only other question is, what is your current bathroom need?
Like IRL or in game?
I don't know.
I forgot the
love that,
terms because I feel like I saw all of them. Like low need, was that a word? The terminology?
I think it was
for
like
it?
low need, moderate need, high need.
Yeah, I was pretty good with taking care of myself. So
Yeah.
I guess no need.
Um, yeah, I can't find. I don't know. A lot of good compasses, a lot of good moments in this game. I like this game a good bit. Now it's time that we rank the video game on the list, which you can find at thefreecheese.com/the list. Did you guys like this game? I guess before we rank it.
I did. I'll say this. I think it's worth a playthrough, and if you're vibing with it a little bit, if or at least you're interested at all through like day one and a half, I think it's worth it to see it through. I think like by the time you get towards the end, like day 5 and the ending, I think it gets bonkers enough if you're like thinking it's slow. And hits on some topics which you kind of mentioned earlier. But again, it's you're gonna have to go through some roll your eye moments. But like I'm glad I played it. I'll say that.
Mark, do you agree? Did you like it?
Sad to say, I did not like this game.
One thing though that has not been said yet, and Joe told this to us all fair because he was the first to kind of get his hands wet with it. He kind of told us it's a slow, like when we were kind of talking about how long the game is roughly before recording, so that we can judge out playing time. He said it's a slow 10 hours, one of those like you're probably going to play an hour at a time, and that is probably the way to approach it. Is maybe do like an area at a time, and then just save it and walk away and just try to let that itch come back naturally. Playing like 3 hours in a row. Playing it 3 hours in a row is probably not the way.
I did do that at one point for I forget which day it was, and it just felt like because it's so rote. Like a lot of the stuff you're doing is the same thing over and over. You're just like, especially when you're unsure of how to trigger the next event. I think that's the key thing. Like when those moments happen, the game feels eternal. Even though it might have only been 5 minutes, that 5 minutes feels like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled out a walkthrough to get through
like
this
maybe
spots,
that's
like
something to like lean into the element of like what it would be like to be in a situation like this. Like time has no meaning, and you.
No, I wouldn't be recruiting 3 members for a cult to progress the story. I can tell you that right now.
What if they promised you great food and fame and fortune?
I would be skeptical, like my character was.
Yeah, no. It's a weird one. It is a strange video game that. Yeah, I think to Matt's point, like I'm happy I played it too, but I also see why you would not like this and why when I played that Switch demo, yeah, the performance was not great, but the thing I omitted earlier when speaking is like I was turned off playing it, because the Switch demo or the demo, you really just get to play the first area where you meet the teacher. I don't even think you meet. I don't even know if I got that far, but I don't think you meet the guy that runs by. Like, I don't think any of that happens. I think you're just kind of wandering around, or at least that's what I experienced, and I was like, this is not what I thought this game was. So I did not like it, and then, I mean, this kind of pushed us to play it, obviously, but, yeah, no, I think it's a unique flavor. Are either of you, Mark, even despite your feelings about this one, are either of you curious about 5?
If it's more like this, to where it's like, it kind of has like, it feels like it has, I can't tell if it has a loss of identity or it knows what its identity is. And so like, I'm not sure. If it's more like this, I'm probably not interested. I'd rather have a game that fully embraces the disaster and all of its horrors to it and lingers on that instead of trying to shy away from it with just all this silliness in between, or just have a straight up fully silly game and not have any of that. Like, I'd rather have one or the other. I feel like mixing it's just a little too weird for me.
Matt, what would you want in a sequel?
Ooh, I think I agree with Mark, or agree with Mark. Either lean in one way or the other, or ramp up to the tough aspects of the disaster, or I don't know, have some kind of consistency in your storytelling. Whether like you start with the disaster and it's like, oh, holy shit, and you kind of, all right, you got through it. Let's ease the tension, lighten the mood a little bit, then lean back into it. But there was too much of this one is like unnecessary. This one is heavy. This one is, not as lighthearted as the other one, but and then like heavy, and then holy shit, the end of the game.
Yeah.
I just a little bit. I think a little bit more consistency and just storytelling. I think I would want. I don't hate the premise of this. I kind of like what they're doing. It's just whiplash. I like that word. I'm going to keep saying it.
It's funny. I think it's funny you guys both felt. I never felt like overwhelmed by the whiplash. I felt the whiplash, but I felt like. Now I'm leaning into my stupid pontification from 10 minutes ago or whatever, but now it feels like maybe being in a moment like this where like things are just happening and you need to react, and like that's kind of how I felt as a player. Is just like, wait, what? We're doing this now? Like it was very weird and like, but I didn't hate it.
My thing is I don't want to be forced into a situation. And that's kind of going where I think Mark was like. If I was in that situation, I would not be in the middle of a town dealing with a Romeo and Juliet story. Like, I'd be to the next...
No, that one... Okay, that chapter especially was...
But, like, that's weird. Day 4, and we're, we're starting to ramp up here a little bit, and, it's stuff like that. Like, that was, like, day 2. I still don't understand it, but at least it's better coming off the back of my man clapping his hands and saying business is business.
Right. For a game like this, I guess I had expectations going in, for sure, and I'm sure that plays a part on the impact that it has on me. But like, I would have been fine if this game didn't have a story, and it was just like you're just going in through very sensitive buildings, just trying to do what you can.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought it was before.
I think that's why that first section's so effective, is because it seemed like you were just helping people along the way, and all of a sudden, holy shit, building falls. And I died. I was like, oh, this is all right. And then you kind of get going, and you kind of realize what it is. No, I think that's the only thing. It's just a little bit more consistent storytelling. I'm just thinking of it in terms of a movie. Like, it's a lot of tonal shifts you would be experiencing in a movie here a little bit.
Yeah. But this is, I think, best experienced in small doses.
Yes, I think that is the key. That is, yeah.
Get through a day. Well, honestly, I would play this like an hour, no more than 2 hours at a time. I
would do section. Once you see that screen to hit proceed, I would hit save. Or literally, there's a button that says save and return the title screen. Hit that button instead of proceed.
Yeah, I think those are good moments to bail. All right, it's a good moment to rank this thing. Where do we see this game falling? Realistically.
I kind of got down on the game a little bit there, I think, at the end, but I'm not down as what my tone was. I'll start.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at it like another similar game on this list in the area I think it deserves to be. And I'm looking at Snatcher, and I don't think it's better than Snatcher. I don't know if I'm high, but I don't think it's better than Snatcher.
I promise you, my exact thought was, all right, Snatcher. Well, it's not better than Snatcher, but so I guess is this better than Parodius?
No, just if you're gonna keep asking going down, at least for me, I'm probably falling. I'm falling hard. Probably to like the Peggle Devil's Crush area.
Yeah.
That's me though. It's us. Crap! I keep hitting my microphone.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is tricky. I like it under Snatcher. If we start falling, we fall quickly. Yeah, it's a Devil's Crush, but I like it over Rogue.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So do we like it above Rogue or keep going back high? Like, is this over Amplitude? Is this over Star Fox? What are we thinking?
I like. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No. I think I'm fine with it being where Devil's Crush is the gatekeeper again, and because or else for me, it would be probably pretty unfairly lower than that.
Yeah, the gatekeeper for me personally here. You see, so Devil's Crush is that gatekeeper. I think for repeatedly, but like right above that, 2 up at number 41 currently is probably the best football simulation game ever, and that has high marks for me.
Yeah.
So it's tough it's tough for me to put a game like this above that. I know it's sports and totally different genres, but
No,
it's kind of where I'm at.
That's how the list goes. I think above Rogue, below Devil's Crush.
I'm fine with that.
Mark?
It's at 44.
All right, it's a lock. Our new 44. Yeah, I'm glad we got to play that one. Honestly, like it was something that ever since I learned about the series, I thought I want to try these, and this was the most approachable. I think it's still, at least in terms of access, it's on most modern platforms. Well, yeah, most. Yeah, I think it's worth seeing.
If you have trouble running on Steam with dual hard drives, send an email to podcast@thefreecheese.com. I got some troubleshooting tips for you.
Yeah, Matt will help you out. That was our journey of helping others is not over. Next week we come back and we talk about Eco for the PlayStation 2. Join us then. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Until next week. Goodbye.